Good morning. How's it going? All right, the reason I wanted to stop here and talk to you is because you notice what's behind me here? I don't know if you can see this or not. But we're loaded with raspberries here. You know what happens with raspberries? You get raspberry pickers. I got a ton of local people that know that raspberries are along the road that accesses my property. Even though it's a private road, people feel that because we're in the North Woods that everybody's in this loving and giving environment, and so they can just walk in on your property. Well, that's not the case. Not all of us want people to be walking in on our property. So anyways, one question that keeps continually coming up, like we were talking about, is what do you do for security? I had one viewer that says, Carl, you're living off the grid. Doesn't that mean you're in a safe, secure environment? And no, it doesn't. It has nothing to do with being safe. Living off the grid just basically means that you're not connected to the electrical grid. Yeah, I'm in a remote area, but people are curious. And ever since I built this cabin, I've had more people trespass on this property than I have in the last 20 years that I've owned the property. People are just curious by nature. Maybe they don't mean any harm or anything, but unfortunately you do get a bad apple in the group every once in a while that does like to do damage or try to steal things from you. So I'm going to share with you today some of the things that I've done to become more safe and more secure. Like I've shown you in past videos, I have those perimeter alarms that I do have set up in strategic places in the property to help alert me when people are coming through. And there's also a second thing that I have that I haven't mentioned yet, and that's because I'm a redneck and I don't have any electric other than my solar at the cabin. I've been real resourceful, and I bought a bunch of trail cameras, and some of these I've had for a while, some I haven't. I have simply just placed trail cameras on my property in strategic locations and use those, and they are wonderful for catching people on film. I'm going to show you a clip right now of, it was about maybe 2-3 weeks ago. I just rolled in on my driveway, and it wasn't more than a couple seconds later after arriving. We were unloading the truck. I could hear the sound of a motorcycle coming through the woods, and individual rode up on me right in the middle of an interview. Unfortunately, I don't have him on film, but watch my reaction and check this out. You can see the tracks in the driveway. I've got that on video, and I felt pretty violated. This guy keeps coming on my property. I don't know what the heck he wants here. I've noticed I've had some of my firewood disappearing, but I'm just hoping that it doesn't get any worse than that. I'm hoping that he's not trying to figure out a way to get into my personal possessions and my personal belongings. Here's the clip. All right, let's go inside the cabin. We got Nick is already in there starting to work, getting ready to swing his hammer. And let's go see. I've got the materials stocked up in there. Did you see that? So here's the tracks of a kid that was on our property. Kind of see the pattern of the tire. The kid started coming down our road, saw my truck down at the house, and you can see he skid pretty good and had to turn around to get the hell out of here. I'm going to quick show you a simple idea, something that you can use to help tell you who's accessing your property. And I think back to my bear hunting days when we would have places where we would bait bear. Here in Wisconsin, it's legal to bait bear. Oftentimes the guys would go ahead and throw a rake on the truck. We'd run out to the bait site and we would rake the soil all around the bait so that we could see the footprints of whatever was coming in. And footprints tells you a lot of things. It tells you the direction of travel, which the bear is coming from and where it's going to. It'll tell you, is it a sow with cubs? If it is, you don't want to hunt that. You want to leave them alone. It'll tell you how heavy the deer or the bear is. You can see how deep its footprint has sunk in, and so on and so forth. So there's a whole slew of things that can tell you. So I utilize that in my security here at the cabin. My driveway is pretty much what they call pit run or pit fill. I've got a bunch of sand that's buried in my soil and a bunch of stones. So what I've simply have done is I dug into one of my banks along my driveway. I got the mosquitoes biting me here. And I filtered out some of the sand and poured it in my driveway. And the reason why this is significant is because that was one of the first clues, one of the first things that gave me a clue as to who was accessing my property. When you look inside the sand, right now you can see, obviously, I just wiped it around with my hands and stuff. Normally it doesn't look like this. It'll dry out here within about a half hour and nobody will be able to tell that I putzed around with it. But when I look in the sand, right away it tells me, okay, is a person coming in on my property on foot? Are they on a motorcycle? Are they on an ATV? Did they drive in with their personal vehicle? So there's a number of things that it tells me. So, don't be afraid to be resourceful. Think out of the box. Maybe incorporate something like this. Let's go take a look at some of these cameras. Okay, I don't know if you can even see it, but up in this tree here, I have a trail camera that's hidden up there. I do have a bright lock on it right now just so that I can show you where it's at. That lock will come off and I'll put my camo lock on there. And that right now is about 15 feet up in the air pointing down at us. And people, when they're walking through the woods, very seldom ever look up into the trees. Oftentimes they're looking at eye level. And I like it up there because obviously you're not going to get that out of there unless you have a ladder and tools. It's bolted through that tree and locked securely. Usually when you place these cameras, you're going to want to put the camera with the sun in mind. I usually keep the sun to the back of the camera, and then also you're going to want to keep your foot traffic in mind. Don't place them where it's going to be real obvious where people can see them. I do have one camera on a property that I put in an obvious spot, but that's for a decoy. All right, folks, here's another one of my more obvious cameras that I have. Obviously, you can tell where I am. This one I'm not too concerned. It's in the woodshed. I'll usually block wood along the sides of it and the top of it and kind of camouflage it a little bit. And I don't know if you can see this, but I have a cable here, and it's a stranded cable. It's not a solid cable. The reason why that's important to have stranded is if somebody tries to cut through this cable, trying to cut through stranded cable is not the easiest thing to do. And then the other part is I do have a steel box that goes over the camera. It's called a bear box. It keeps bears from chewing on it. You can see I don't know if you can see all this cobwebs and stuff inside here, but that camera's been there for quite a while. And you'd be surprised at the number of people that actually don't even look in here and that walk by and I got on film. And I've got a few pictures of wildlife that's been through, but I'm not going to share any of the people pictures because I don't know if I could get sued for putting that on the internet or not. I'm not going to cause any problems with anybody. At least I know who it is now that's accessing my property, and I can deal with that. So this camera, oddly enough, I have had one guy who repetitively comes on the property with a green motorcycle and a blue helmet. He's smart enough to wear his helmet all the time so I can't see his face. And he's got to the point where, see all this birch bark? When he's going to come in on the property, he reaches around the corner of the shed and covers the camera with the birch bark. And I thought, wow, that's pretty creative, so now I'm gonna have to get a little bit creative. So what I did do is I put a secondary camera that is hidden up within a tree that's in the area. Right now I can see it from where we are, and that camera is basically catching whoever's coming in on this camera, and I use it this primarily as a decoy camera now. So it works out pretty slick. I've got a town meeting coming up. I'm going to be posting this guy's picture. Even though I don't have a view of his face, there has to be somebody in town who knows of this individual that's riding a green dirt bike with a blue helmet on. Not too many people have that type of combination, and when you can physically see this person in stature, maybe we'll come up with who this individual is yet. So just wanted to share this quick video with you guys to let you know what you can do if you don't have electricity on your property but you still want to have some cameras. Each one of these cameras here, I'm a budget shopper, as you know by watching my videos. This one here is an old Moultrie camera. I think I picked this one up for, it was like maybe $65 on sale at Cabela's. And then the other camera that I showed you, that's more typical of my regular cameras that I have. It's smaller, more compact, less likely to be seen. That camera I picked up, I think, for right around $99. And then the bear boxes that I have these things mounted in, you can either purchase them right at the sporting goods stores. I couldn't tell you the price exactly on them. Most of my bear boxes are ones that I've inherited from general bear hunters that I'm friends with here in the area. When they have older equipment, they'll give me that stuff, and then I modify it to match the cameras that I have. So cool. I'd like to thank you guys for joining us today. I hope that this helps you out in keeping your property safe and secure.